So I have a question for you. I'm sure by now you have checked out Netflix's documentaries, in particular the true crime documentaries. And let me just tell you something. I'm in absolute love and awe of the lighting that they use for these documentary series. It just looks so good, crisp, moody, kind of dark, matches the theme of the said documentary. And that's kind of the inspiration behind today's video. Although this video project that I worked on is not negative in manner, but I just wanted to give it that dark and moody feel to it. It is a video project that I did with a guy named JC Kilcorn, and he is a boxer out of Greer, South Carolina. He boxes at Boxing at the Depot. So if you are in need of any sort of boxing lessons, the coach there is absolutely great. The facility is great. And I just wanted to highlight this young man's kind of rise in his boxing. Also, he has so many aspirations to go pro, and I know this is like probably not such a huge deal. No one's a huge deal until they become a huge deal. But this kid is fast, he's accurate, he strikes hard, and he's only 16 years old. So that's kind of the premise for today's project, and I wanted to take you behind the scenes of his very first interview, and I want to show you not only the gear that I'm using, but explain why I decided to use this gear. So let's jump right into it. Alright, so we're going to talk about the camera and the lenses that I use for this particular project. The camera of choice happens to be the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 6K G2. Why I decided to use this camera? Well, I've already rigged out this camera with the lens, the monitor, the cage, all the accessories that is needed for a video production shoot. And if you haven't seen that video, I'll go ahead and link it up somewhere here in the cards, so you can check out that fully custom rig that is built for that camera. So I really do like the image that comes out of the Blackmagic 6K G2. It just gives a real filmic look right out of the gate, and you don't have to do very much to it. Also, it has plenty of different codecs. In particular, I shot this project with just Blackmagic RAW. Typically, that's what I shoot it at always, and it was shot with 12:1 compression. Don't need the super huge file sizes, because even at 12:1 compression, you can manage that really easily, and it gives you enough data to be flexible with your latitude in post when you're color grading and doing other things. Also, shooting in Blackmagic RAW, for that matter, gives you a lot of latitude to change things in post that you may have gotten wrong. So the lens of choice would be the DZO Film 20-55 Pictor Zoom. And I really like this lens. Even though it's a zoom lens, I pretty much just stayed around the 35 mark on the lens, shot it at t4.0, just to be able to have a bit sharper image. I find on most lenses, including cinema lenses, that it's not exactly sharp wide open. So T4 was really good, easy to focus at T4, and I just really like the lens. It gives a really nice soft filmic look. Now, it's not as sharp as I like for lenses to be, but I'm kind of used to photography lenses as I'm just diving into cinema lenses. But I really do love this kit. So shout out to DZO Film for sending me not only this lens, but they're 12-25 and they're 50-120. I'll have a full review coming up, and also doing a lot of testing with that 3-lens kit, and you'll see that soon on the channel. All right, so let's talk about monitoring for the subject, monitoring the exposure, getting a preview of what it's going to look like right there as I'm doing the production. And that monitor of choice is the Atomos Shogun, the new model. Love this monitor. Already kind of did a video on it, going to do a deep dive video on it. But what I love about this monitor, besides the 7-inch screen, is that the colors are really accurate, so you can see what you're going to have in post by monitoring your image there on set. Another great feature of it, it has 3 different types of false colors. It has your normal false color, it has your EL zone false color, and it also has ARRI false color. So, real important thing is, with any sort of video production and trying to make sure that your subject is not underexposed or overexposed, and getting those skin tones right in camera is really important. And it has so many other features built into it, but this is like the standout feature for me because it's huge. I mean, you can see everything on that screen much better than the monitor that you may have attached to your camera, including the built-in monitor in the Blackmagic 6K G2. So I love that monitor. I've used it on this camera, but I think I'm going to start using it as a director's monitor because it is sufficient in size to be able to do so. I'm also going to do a deep dive into that monitor and show you guys all the features because, quite frankly, I think it's the best monitor on the market, and it's probably the last monitor that I'll ever own. Also, want to send a special shout out to Condor Blue. Obviously, we can't mount the monitor, the V-mount battery as you've seen, put a lens support on for the lens if it wasn't for Condor Blue giving me this top handle and cage that you see here on the rig. I really love it because it's just strong, sturdy, obviously as it should be. I've had no issues with anything loosening on it. It has plenty of mounting holes, including RV style locating pin mounting holes, and it's just built rugged. I mean, I don't have to worry about attaching anything to this cage, and then also gives a layer of protection to the camera itself. So shout out to Condor Blue. Love that top handle too, as it has a button on it for the record start stop function. If you don't have a Blackmagic 6K G2, look at it for your particular camera and you will be pleased with the quality that comes out of Condor Blue. All right, so let's talk about lighting. For this production, I decided to use the Nanlite 720B as the key light. And yes, I know you may be thinking a 750 watt light is overkill, but you never know how much power and light you need until you need it and you don't have it. So I do have a Nanlite 300B2, but I didn't use it for this shoot. So I'm using the Nanlite 720B as the key light. Didn't have to crank that up much. I think I ran that light at like 18%, which was totally fine. Gave him more than enough exposure on his face. And then as a kicker light slash hair light, if you will, I used the Nanlite Forza 60B, and that was only at about 15% because I just needed a little bit of light at the top of JC's head, so that way I can get a little separation from him and the background, which so happens that we're shooting inside of the ring. Now, the other light that I use for a total of a 3-light setup is the Nanlite PavoTube 30C, the 4-foot version. And I use that here just to illuminate this brick wall that has the flag on it, so that way I can get a little bit of color, hence also adding a little bit more separation from JC, which is the subject, to the background. So only thing I wish I did do in this particular case, I noticed that the shadow side once I got into post was a bit too dark for my liking. I wish I would have either used a white bounce flag, which I had, just was not paying attention basically during, but that's okay. We live and we learn and we improve on the next one. Or used my other, because I have a 2-light kit of the Nanlite PavoTube 30C, which would have given him enough fill on that shadow side of his face, but also still being able to create that shadow and that Rembrandt look. So in retrospect, I wish I did use the flag or the Nanlite other PavoTube 30C. So simply I just did a power window in Resolve and just increased the shadows a little bit and that mid-tone on his skin, so that way I could eliminate it being so dark because I didn't really have a taste for that. So, in retrospect, that's just something that happens. You learn every single time. And also, I didn't have a ton of time to shoot because this is an active and open gym. So, in order to get in the ring and shoot really quickly, I had to set up all these lights and the camera stuff just to make sure that we can get this interview done and get it done quickly. So, another thing that I wish I did is set up 2 angles. Again, didn't have as much time as I wanted. Only had literally about 20 minutes to set up, well, about 20 to 30 minutes to set up and do the interview and get all the lights in there and get everything in there as far as the camera goes. And as far as the sound goes, I used a Sound Devices Mix Pre 3 and also the Ceremonic Soundbird V6, which is an excellent mic. As you'll hear in a clip that I'll insert into this video, sounds great. Didn't do much processing to it, to be honest. I just used the voice isolation and a little bit of EQ in DaVinci Resolve, and I'm really happy with the results.
Well, I will say boxing has to be the top 3 hardest sports. And if you're doing it for a hobby, you got to stay consistent and dedicated to it. Even if you're just doing it as a hobby, you need to stay in here. And you have to find a coach. You need to find a coach in a gym to teach you the technique and the right accuracy boxing. You can't just go out in the backyard and, do the boxing. You have to find a gym and do it. And that's what I would start. Start with there and work your way up to amateur fights. Till you get better, work your way up to better tournaments, and then turn pro if you want, or just stay as a hobby and just enjoy it, like the burning the calories, just good workout, you know what I mean? Just have fun with it. Do your thing.
So yeah, essentially just wanted to break down this video for you. In particular, I just wanted to really show you how to light this type of video, documentary, sit down, interview, talking head style video, and just explain to you why I chose the lighting that I did. I love Nanlite. It's always proven itself to be reliable. The light accuracy that comes out of it is great. Again, the 720B and the 60B are bicolor lights, so you have a range of 2700 Kelvin all the way up to 6800 Kelvin. Has built-in effects on both lights, so really they are strong and powerful and functional lights. Even though I didn't need the 720B as the key, I always like to bring the big light along with me just in case I need some more power. I don't want to be in a situation to where I need more power and I'm like, dang, I should have brought my bigger light. And the light accuracy on it is great. And by the way, I know you've seen the softbox and the B-roll that I inserted. So basically the softbox is also a Nanlite parabolic 120 softbox. So that gives a really big spread of light, and it allows me to light a subject fairly easily at very low power with the 720B. So, I notice a lot of times on these videos, they show you how to get the look, but they don't show you how to basically get it into your editor and then also figure out how to color grade it. Well, this was real simple, guys. I didn't do any LUTs or anything spectacular or special. I simply converted the B-raw footage over to Rec 709, and then I made basically a 5-node tree. So I did a power window on one. Also, I noticed that his skin was a bit orange, so I did an HSL qualifier on another node. The fourth node I was going to use for a look, but I decided I didn't want to look, so I just used it as my basic adjustments as far as contrast, saturation, and color boost. And the fifth node is the color space transform output, so that way when I render it out, it is going to be a Rec 709 look with a Gamma 2.4 output. So really nothing special there. It doesn't take a lot, guys, to get a good image. I mean, just some basic adjustments after you convert your footage over to Rec 709 will give you a really, really good image that you should be pleased with. And only thing you want to do, essentially, is if you're going for dark and moody, don't have a bunch of highlights and bring down your shadows, bring down your midtones, set your lights up correctly on set, and you can get that kind of feel. So I hope today's video helped you some as far as lighting, say an interview style or documentary style video that you may be doing here in the future, or that you have done, and it gives you a little insight on how I did it, and maybe it'll help you on your next shoot, and maybe you'll want to do the same thing. So I do greatly appreciate you coming to the channel, checking it out. Listen, if you're not subscribed, please do me a favor, subscribe to the channel if you found this video of any value. Currently, about 98% of the people that look at my videos, which is you, are not currently subscribed, and I would greatly appreciate it if you could do that. It helps the channel, helps me grow, gives me motivation, quite honestly, to keep doing videos like this for you. Lots of more lighting tutorials coming, filmmaking tutorials. I'm doing my best to crank out projects and get projects to be able to show those off and show the behind the scenes, and I just hope it helps someone. It doesn't have to help everyone, but if it helps someone, I'm totally happy with that. So I greatly appreciate you checking it out. And until next time, be safe, be kind, and take care of each other.